True Radio. We are hip hop.
What up, man? It's your boy DJ Dady Phatts, and we are live inside the True Radio studios. Shouts out to Kiwanuka. We have a very special guest, and I'm excited to interview him. He goes by the name of Mathias Kiwanuka. Okay, two-time Super Bowl champ, beat the Patriots twice, played 8 seasons in the NFL. Correct? Nine, all with the Giants. Originally came out of Boston College. Was drafted 32nd overall, 2006 NFL draft, and just an overall beast. You know what I mean? Did his thing. O.C. Junior himself, JPP, and Michael Strahan. That line was amazing, man. I appreciate you coming through, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
So I want to ask you this. You said you're originally from Indianapolis. What made you move down here to Florida?
The weather, man. I mean, I'll speak up. I've been trying to get south my whole life. So I graduated from high school in 2001, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go play basketball. I'm gonna get these scholarships. I might see if Miami or some of the basketball scholarships didn't come through. Had a long conversation with my football coach, and he was like, "Listen, like these are the players who are 6'6". Reggie Miller, you ain't shooting like Reggie. Kobe Bryant, we already know. He's like Michael Jordan. He's like, nah. It's like you play like a big man, but you're only 6'6". He's like, your bread is gonna be butter on the football field. Like you need to take it seriously. And I was like, all right. So like, I was always good at football, and I competed, and I loved it, but basketball was my first love.
Okay.
But what took me up north was I got that scholarship from Boston College, and that shut everything else down. I was like trying to figure out, do I go to IU, do I go to Purdue, do I go here, BC came through. There was no questions asked. I was going to a big city. I was going to get a big degree, and I really wasn't thinking about the NFL. I was thinking about the caliber of education that I was going to get.
Oh, nice.
But I still told myself, I was like, when all this is done, I'm going south because I'm done shoveling snow.
Yeah, I feel you. So did you ever want to play for the Dolphins or something like that?
I had an opportunity, to be honest with you.
Beginning of your career, maybe towards the middle
of my career. So I think it was like my 4th or 5th year, whenever my contract came up. So it was lockout or somewhere around that time. I was having a big year where I had my neck injury. So I was, I came off to a great start. I was balling. Giants and I were talking about contracts, and then I had a devastating neck injury. Multiple herniations. All the doctors I flew around to said, you need to pick a new profession. And there was one option. They said, we can inject it, and we can sit for a year, and we can see if it comes back. During that time period, all the teams that were talking to me all just fell down. And so it was left between the Giants and the Dolphins, and the contracts were pretty similar. But at that time, I had to weigh, what is the longevity of my career? I really didn't know. I thought, maybe I get another year or 2 out of that, if I can even come back. And I just had my daughter, we had just gotten married, so I was like, you know what, it's better if I just stay still and be settled in New York. And looking back on it, I do believe I made the right decision because we won another championship.
Yeah.
I had another baby, so both of my kids were born in New Jersey, and I enjoyed it. But there were some times. There was a real specific story. There was a time after my that second year where we won the Super Bowl. I broke my ankle, so I started 10 games, but I didn't play in the Super Bowl. And I just got done having my 6th surgery on my ankle like 3 months ago. So this ankle's been messed up for years, right? So that's how bad it was. And I remember I called my agent. I said, Tom, I was like, you got to get me out of here. I was like, I'm a defensive end. They got me playing linebacker. They got me dropping into coverage. I told him, I was like, no one person should be able to stand in a 4 technique against Flozo Adams and then be required to cover Deshaun Jackson running across the play. That's one man. I was like, one man's supposed to do all that, and you gonna critique me, right? So I was like, you got to get me out of here. And the only team that was willing to take me on at that time with that injury was Cleveland. And the general manager at the time, he called me up. He's like, he's like, this came across my desk. He's like, I can't believe you want to go to Cleveland. He's like, I thought you were smarter than that. And I was like, at first I felt disrespected. And I was like, and then I had to look at it honestly. No disrespect to Cleveland, but at that time, like players were going there and their careers were just falling off.
So it was bad.
So I think I made the right decision there. I do believe I made the right decision to stay the second time. And overall, even to this day, the opportunities that I've had off the field and things that have survived throughout, like beyond the game, are so much greater than I believe I could have gotten anywhere else. So I'm very happy with the decision I made.
That season that you guys won the Super Bowl, like the first Super Bowl, I remember that's the year that you guys paid You played the Patriots the last game of the season and you lost. But I remember watching, I forgot the name of the documentary on NFL Network, but everybody on the team was like, yo, if we see him again, we got him. And you guys, I remember that playoff run. You guys went nuts in the playoffs.
There's stuff that people, the unseen things that people don't see is like we had coaching staff who brought like clothes into their rooms, into their offices, and they would literally get off the bus. They would go in there and start breaking down the film. They would take a nap. They would get up and start breaking down more film. And by then, we're coming back in the building. We had guys who literally slept in the building, like missed time with their families to make sure that we got everything the way that we needed to be. And that kind of just trickles all the way downhill. And if you look at that coaching staff is now proliferated throughout the league. Like these guys are doing like big things because there's a specific coaching tree that came from not just Coughlin, but the tree that he came from along those lines. And it's similar to the Bill Belichick coaching tree if you look at where those coaches are. So it was not just the players on the field, it was the coaching staff also. I mean, I can't say enough about those guys. I mean, everybody worked their asses off in that building. And I remember after that game, like Coughlin said exactly that. He's like, we know how to beat them. He said, when we see them again, we're going to beat them. And I was like, all right, talk about shit, let's see.
Did you feel like you guys were going to see them again? Like, with the team that you being in the locker room, you're like, I think did you feel some type of magic or like, man, I would feel like.
I was young. I think I was too young to understand how the game works and what's likely to happen. I think at that age, when I was like in my second year, it was more just like, like a free for all. You know what I mean? Like we're out. I'm at Pink Elephant one day. I'm at this club the other day, and we go back for practice. And they go like, I was young. I could do whatever I wanted. Back then. Yeah. By the time we came around to the second one, that's when I really was like focused in. I had kids. I was going home every night. I was studying. I was focused, and I could kind of pick apart and see, okay, this team is likely to do this, and this defense matches up against that offense, so we're likely to see. And I think that some of the older guys kind of had that vision in the beginning, whereas I was still just going along. You know what I mean? Like where we at today? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I didn't have a full understanding back then, but I did know that I watched like a team come together like I've never seen it before. You know what I mean? Like everybody talks about that back against the wall bullshit. Like when we were in Washington 0-2 and it came down to the end of the game, I do remember I think I had the running back coming out the flat and I was haul ass and trying to get to him, making sure he didn't catch the ball, but then it was an incomplete pass. We won the game, and it was like I remember Antonio Pierce was like, man, Kiwi, we got this shit. Like, we're really gonna do this. And I could see it, and I had been a captain for multiple years at Boston College, so I knew what that meant. I knew what that feeling meant. When your captain is telling you, like, he's believing it, we got this, everybody starts to build and buy in. There was no lack of confidence in the captains and anybody. Like, this before Plaxico's incident, you couldn't tell Plax nothing. He was, I'm going out there to ball, Kiwi. Like, you understand, I'm going out to get these numbers. And I believe that. He went out there every week and he did it. So everybody from the top down had confidence, and all the little guys, not little guys, but all the younger guys were just following along. So it's like, all right, if you got beasts over there, let me try to be a beast on the punt team. You know what I mean? And that's
it was all in.
It was all in. It was as corny as it sounds. It was all in.
You guys felt it, man. And I mean, you guys won that Super Bowl, and that of course we're gonna talk about that pass. Like, that's like legendary. Like, what was you were on the sideline, you were right there. What were you thinking when you seen that? Were you like, oh shit, like, damn?
I didn't know where I was for a second. I didn't know what was really going on. It was such an exciting time. Like, so I was injured, and first of all, they put us on the family plane. So the team goes down, and the family plane goes down after that. And if you don't know anything about the age demographic in the NFL, there are a lot of young babies on that family plane. So we got down, injured players are in the back. We're used to being on a chartered plane, like, keep keying and everything like that. There's babies running all around. You can't sleep, anything. So like we get there, we're already like starting off that way. And then they tell us you can't be on the sidelines. And then Jeremy Shockey complained. He was like, nah, man, we on the sidelines. So they said, okay, cool, get on the sidelines. So now we're walking up and down the sidelines behind the bench. So I'm now a part of the game, and I see Strahan coming up and down the sidelines, and he's talking his mess, and he's just like we got this, but like he's not that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
he's not like that.
He's not that guy. Like he picks and chooses when he's gonna be that way, and a lot of the stuff that we saw in the media. You know, we would always ask him, like, come back, like, why do you go back and forth with the media so much? I remember specifically. And he was like, man, Kiwi, like, I'm setting this up for when I get done playing. I don't care about this and that.
Look at him now.
And look what he did.
Look at him now. Look at him now.
But as far as a player on the field and a captain, he would give it to you real if you came to him to ask him for advice, but he wasn't going to come up and be like, you need to do this, you need to do that, He was just, young bud, you can't have your hand on your knee if you're trying to get off the ball fast and just walk away. Like, little stuff like that. So when he came up and down the line and he was really screaming and passionate about it, I think that brought that energy, that sense that, man, we can really do it. And then Tyree, another personal story about David Tyree.
Yeah.
So I was the right wing on the punt team my entire career, even until right up until the year that I retired. I ran down punt every single time. Yeah, people don't know that.
Damn.
Every single time. So I started every defensive drive with like a 60, 80-yard sprint, right? But I did it because that was part of what I brought to the team. That's one of the things that kept me around even when I was injured later on in my career. The more you can do, right? So rewind it back. This is my rookie year, and they're like, hey, listen, this is a spot that we want you to fill. I was a guard on the punt team in college, so I had the idea, the technique, but I was always protected by somebody on either side of me. Now I'm like the left tackle because a punter is right-footed, right? So I'm basically like the left tackle for the punt team. He put me up against David Tyree. This boy ate me up so many times. He made me stay after practice week after week, and he's like, okay, I'm telling you. You know what he's going to do. He's going to take 2 steps up the field. He's going to go underneath. This boy would take 2 steps. I knew he was going to do it. I still couldn't catch. He was so, when I say he was so fast, and he was so technical, but then he was also a man of God. And he was like, God bless you, young man. I'm like, I'd rather you cuss me out.
Really? Really?
But so when it came time, he wasn't really playing a whole lot on offense. But when it came time and his number got called, I just remember how much he studied and how much he paid attention. So when it actually happened, I really wasn't surprised because I knew in my heart if you had to call on one person on that team to make a play and you called on him, even though everybody didn't know his name and all that kind of stuff, that was that dude. It was him, and then it was Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz was another guy. When he came in early, I can talk forever. Let me just answer that question.
No, man, do you think?
When Victor Cruz came in, he was undrafted free agent.
Yep.
And I think he ended up signing with my agent because we had talked a little bit about him getting with new agent marketing or new management. But his first year when he got there, now keep in mind we had Corey Webster. Corey Webster at LSU, one of the best corners that ever played the game.
Yeah.
One of the most smart, one of the most intelligent. And Corey Webster was out there Victor Cruz is out there giving it to these boys. You know what I mean? And Corey's one of those guys, like, he's the corner. We have somebody, Corey's got him. Hey, guys, Corey's got this guy. The rest of the team is going to play this. And he locked him down week in, week out.
Right.
When Corey Webster came and said, hey, guys, this kid is good. That's when everybody was like, Corey said he was good. He got to be good. And we watched him week after week after week. And he was just burned. I'm talking like, all right, bring somebody else in. Bring Aaron Ross in. Bring somebody. I mean, all these big money guys. And they're just like, you know what? You got to give respect where it's due. Like, he had it. And then he had the hamstring injury, so they put him on IR. I remember talking to him, and I was like, listen, like, it's part of this is just business. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're hiding you here just so that nobody else can take you. But when you get your time to shine, it's going to be game on. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what he did. But, like, I always looked at people's practice habits. So those are the people that I gravitated towards. Like, if you practice really well, if you focus on your craft, if you work hard, now I want to sit at lunch and chop it up with you and see, like, you know, what are you doing? Because it's hard. To be honest with you, it's hard to stay motivated on a Wednesday when you're in your 6th year and you've played this team 18 times. You know exactly what they're going to say. You know exactly what they're going to do. The guy you playing against, he's been there as long as you have. Like, you know, it's like, it's easy to just be like, you know, I can mail this in and whatnot. But the guys who stay around, like, you really got to focus and practice every day.
So I'm glad you said that because I definitely want to ask you, like, there's gonna be a lot of like younger kids that are gonna be seeing this, or kids that are in high school, they, just starting college or something, or might be year one in the pros. Like, what's your advice to them on being a professional football player, and how to you said a couple things about how to stay, because a lot of like here we're in Palm Beach, and Palm Beach breeds a lot of amazing NFL players. But then you hear stories like, okay, he was with this team for 2-3 years and that's it. Like, what do they need to do to stay, to have a nice career like you did, or Strahan or OC, or like JPP, he's still doing it.
That's my dog too. He's a different breed. He's a rare breed. Those players like that come along once in a couple hundred years. Like, he's not normal. So I wouldn't say, hey, I'm gonna do everything he did, because he's got a special path. He's been touched by God to do what he does. But I would say I just had this conversation with another young guy, and part of it is keep your body right. And what that means is like all these different things. So like acupuncture, yoga, get massages, eat right. You cannot outwork a bad diet. I don't care how hard you work in the weight room and in the gym. If you're eating cheeseburgers and drinking beer and all that kind of stuff, your body's going to suffer. You're going to dehydrate yourself. You're going to pull a muscle. Boom, end of story. As far as like when you get to the league, the thing that separates most people from getting to the league and staying in the league is getting in the books. It's a completely different mindset. You got a lot of guys who you see in college, and you're like, man, this guy was a lockdown, or he used to pass rush, this and that. Yeah, but you got one task when you're in college. It's like, okay, you're a man corner, you play man the whole game, that's all you do. You know what I mean? You're a pass rushing defensive end, you're just rushing the field, that's all you do. Now, are you a 4 technique, a 7 technique, a 6 technique? Can you drop to the flat? Can you cover somebody like coming across the middle? Like, these are all things that you're being asked to do from different positions. Now, I started, how many we got? 4, 5, 6, 7. I started 6 of the 7 positions up front at some point in my career. So I've gone up and down the line. I've been both outside linebacker spots, and I've come in and filled in and done all this and that. So I get it. Like, sometimes your hips just aren't going to be right. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to open up your hips. So, okay, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to go home and sit on the couch with a bottle of Jack? Or are you going to go and get on the bike? Or are you going to go get in the cold tub, get in the hot tub? Or are you going to come in early, get in the sauna? And in between that, I get in the books, man. Like, I think I can't stress that enough. If you're timid, if you're out there playing, like, you're not sure, like, you're already done. You're already done. If you walk out on the field and you're not sure which gap you have, not just for this play, but based on the motion or what alignment they have, or where the back is offset, if you're thinking about that, you're wrong. And that's what guys got to understand. The guys who are really out there, until you get to when you get to the level, like let's say, like, when OC had his, 12, 15 sacks, whatever, when you get to that level, you go out there and you are the play. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do we do? They would literally tell you, if you're lined up next to him, they would tell me, if you're standing behind him, you make him right. Doesn't matter what he does. If the ball goes the other way, you go that way. I don't care what he does, because he's a playmaker. Now, when you get to that level, that's when you can open it up and say, okay, let me just focus on beating this guy. Until then, you got to be technically sound. Like, I watch these kids, and I'm like, all right, so just as a pass rusher, does it make sense to pick up your foot and then put it back down behind you when you're trying to go forward? No, okay, well, that's something simple you can just work on when you're sitting there at the house, like boom, 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 and then visualize, really go through it. And I just watched the Michael Jordan thing again, the interview, and he was saying like every circumstance that happened in the game, I had already been through it because I visualized it so much. And that was something that was taught to me. I was a psych major at BC, and that was something that was taught to me as a freshman. And I used to visualize all day long. People think I'm tuned out, but I'm like going through different scenarios. So it really was like that. And I figured out how to play college. I struggled in the NFL, but I figured out how to play college football. There was not many circumstances that I could be in where I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I knew all the plays, I knew all the calls, I knew all the checks, the offenses were limited, and those guys used to stare exactly where they were going every single time. So that's kind of the difference. Like, it's like getting to college is like playing a high school all-star game every week in practice. And getting to the NFL is like playing a college all-star game every week in practice. These guys you're going up against, these guys were big-time recruits. They were first, second-round picks too, and they're, you know what I mean? So that second-string offensive lineman, he's got something to prove. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't think he should be second string. So he's going to come up and wham your ass, you know? And so it's everybody's physically gifted. Everybody's physically talented. But who can understand what the offense is trying to do? Are you a defensive end who's going to go flying up the field on 3rd and long every time, even though you know it's a screen and draw down? Like, those are the kind of things that coaches are looking for. It's like, okay, like, if he's doing this, he does not understand the big picture, so I can't take him to the next level.
Right.
But if they see an inkling, like, oh, okay, he put his foot in the ground, that means he was thinking about it. Okay, let me work with this guy. Let me give some extra time to him. You know, and so that's the biggest thing. Keep your body right and get in the books.
After the NFL, we're gonna be talking about what you got going on. But I definitely wanted to touch on, like you said, like acupuncture. I was looking at your IG, I seen you doing some of that recently, and then I seen where you were at the hospital and you had like this thing, like right. I was like, yo, what is that?
And that's not foreign. When I post that, a lot of the guys I played with, they're like, yeah, me too. Yeah, I did the same thing. It's very common. Like cervical fusions, I had C3 to C6. Most people have at least 1 or 2. I'm not playing with you. You have no idea how many people in my DMs are like, yeah, man, I did this, I did that, Like, it's very, very common because you hit. You're constantly hitting. You're hitting. And, now they have the heads up, play right type thing or whatever the NFL is pushing.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, man, it was just lay them out. You know what I'm saying? And the helmets were bad. The quality of the technology wasn't there. And I had one tool in my toolbox, and it was a hammer. You know what I'm saying? And I was coming every single time, like, that's what I want to do. And I recognized it. I knew that was the injury that I had going into year 4, and I knew at some point it was going to come back to haunt me. But I still played it. Like, we played those seasons. I played with the Cowboy College.
Yeah.
And I used to do this little whatever celebration. I changed it from that to just like this. And people don't realize I was seasoned. Like, my body was locked up. So every time I would go and I would hit somebody and I would do this like that, it looked like a celebration. But I was locked. My whole body was frozen. It was locked up. And they'll come up to the side of the doctors be like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right."
No, you're not saying nothing, right? Because you don't want to get off the field.
I got some checks to cash. I ain't saying nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but it's stuff like that as you get older and older and you're getting ready to retire, it's like, okay, like, was that worth it? I don't regret anything that I did. But going back, like, if my son was in that same position, I would caution him not to do those same things. You know what I mean? Like, it put me in a position to set my family up and to do certain things that I never would have been able to do. But I think there's a little bit of a smarter way to do it. But yeah, so that's
That's rough. Now I actually just, like I said, you're done with the league, what would you say to some of the, a lot of the players out there right now that are, that are done with the league, that maybe are like kind of struggling on finding what to do, in part 2 of their life? What is suggestions, like what did you do to, get where you at?
Don't do that. The best advice I got was, it was corny, but he was like, that kids movie, it's like, just keep swimming, don't sit still. That's the worst thing. I said, I'm going to retire, I'm going to pay my house off, I'm going to pay this off, got my bread straight, I'm going to take a year. Don't do that. That's the worst thing you can do is just sit still and be stagnant. As a man, as the head of your household, you need something to do. You need something to get at. Even if you're just going to go coach at the high school for a little bit.
Right.
Go and do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like you're up there busting your ass and doing a 9 to 5 and doing all this and that. But you got to have a sense of purpose, and you got to be able to get up and go capture something. You got to go out and hunt something every single day. One of the biggest problems I had was like, okay, so you transfer from playing to being in business, and I'm sitting there, and it's like, you sit behind a computer screen all day, even though you answered 20 emails, you answered all the calls, got all the orders sent out and everything, you just don't feel accomplished.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, every time you practice, you come home and you're like, whew, man, I put a long day, you know what I mean? Like, you feel, I sit down on the couch, like, I earned this seat, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
you just sitting there in an office and AC's going, and you drinking coffee, it's like, you don't, I never felt like, I don't feel like a man, you know what I mean? I was like, what are we doing? Like, oh, no, we got this, and these checks came in, I'm like,
okay.
So I would go, now I see why people get up, you go work out early in the morning, or you go do something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you got to get those endorphins going, you got to get that adrenaline flowing, so, and that's part of self-care, and we don't recognize it, like, stuff that we took for granted, like, I would go in every morning, get in the sauna, get in the cold tub, I would do stretching before and after I worked out, we would do, like, cool downs, all this kind of stuff, so my body was just always constantly moving, and it cuts down the inflammation, it cuts down the amount of time your brain is just stagnant.
Yeah.
You're focused, you're working. So you gotta find what it is that intrigues you. That could be, you could just travel. You could be, homeschooling your kids. Because I found out that's not easy either. I got a new respect for teachers when I started homeschooling. I was like, I ain't got more hair to pull out. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing is keeping your mind and your body active and going out there, and then don't isolate yourself. Like, I'm working with the NFLPA right now as a transition coach and training, and that's a lot of what we talk about is guys go into isolation, guys feel embarrassed, you feel ashamed because nobody's career ends the way that they want it to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like honestly, like not. Maybe like 2%. The names that you know,
like
walked off in the sunset,
like Strahan.
There's a couple of them that get to walk off. For the rest of us, like I was sitting in the training room, they were drawing fluid out of my knees, like big syringes twice a week. One time just to practice one day, and then the next time just to play, and they would shoot it up with Synvis and cortisone, and I was taking all this and that, and I was just like, when the call came, I was like, man, this call was probably about like 4 weeks overdue, to be honest with you. Like, we all do it, but it comes nonetheless. And even though everybody's like, well, you won 2 championships and you did that, there's always more. Like, I'm an athlete, you understand? Like, I'm a player. Like, this is what I did. I had to see everybody like, do you miss playing in the NFL? I'm like, no, I had a season to look forward to every year since '93. You understand what I'm saying? Like, since 1993, every year I was going back into training.
You're prepping yourself, you're training, you got a routine, you're working out, this and that. Yeah. You're getting mentally right, and you had like this routine going on. So when you got that call and you got released, you were like, okay, what do I do now?
That was it. I went and got surgery on my knees. They told me not to do it. I did microfracture on both knees at the same time. I don't know how they let me do it, but I was like, I got to get this done because I got to get out of here. I got a house in Florida that's waiting for me. So I did that. We sat around for a little bit, and then I drove down. And then that was pretty much it. That was the start. I got into real estate, and I got into the wine business, and I did a number of different things, but there was nothing, and there will never be anything that satisfies my need for competition and instant gratification the way that football did. Like, I tell people, like, I wish everybody at one time in their life could experience the sense of accomplishment or instant gratification you get. Like, it's better than any drug you had in your life. Like, when you practice all week to beat this one guy on this one play, and that play shows up, and you get him, and it's just you and the quarterback, and he's one more pat. You pat that ball one more time, and then you get him, and the whole stadium just erupts in mania. And honestly, it was better in college because you're playing in a 100,000 stadium, 100,000 people stadium. Yeah. But like in the NFL, it was quicker because everybody was paying attention. But like when you have that sense of gratification, or you walk into, you're walking off and everybody's chanting your name and this and that, like there's no greater sense of accomplishment that I could relate to, to try to explain to somebody what is it like, Because
I know for me, I can kind of relate. I mean, on a smaller scale, not 100,000 people, but you're DJing, there's like 2,000 people, and you play the right song and people just lose it. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's just like, I understand that gratification, man. You just, like, the energy, you just like, man, like, because I'm not going to lie to you, like, for a while back, I did stop DJing and got a regular gig, and I was like, I can't do this shit. I can't, I got to get back into it. I'm not myself. Right. Yeah. Right. Everybody walking around, look at you like, what's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong. I'm just
not myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not fulfilling my destiny. I feel it.
Yep.
I could see that.
So you know, now you're done with football. You have wanderingwines.com. I checked it out, and you guys say Wandering Wines collection discovered through adventure, inspired by the world. So when I read that, I feel like you did some traveling.
I do some traveling.
You know, and I feel like through the traveling, you were inspired to do this wine. So talk about wanderingwines.com.
Wandering Wines, we are South Florida-based local distributor. We have 4 different brands. Wandering Wines is our parent brand. We have Peaks and Valleys, which houses the organic, sustainably farmed. We have Keen, which houses the rosé and the sparkling. Okay. And then we have Lost Vine, which is more what you'll find in the restaurants, is like the house wines and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's varietals that are repeated, but we have Cabernets, we have red blends, which one of the best ones is the 50-50 Cabernet Carmenere blend, because a lot of our wine does come from Chile, but we've expanded. We're bringing wines from California, bringing wines from Italy, bringing wines from France, and that's part of the whole concept. Is we were already traveling. We were already drinking wine everywhere that we went. Traveling is something for me that, like, I have to have my next trip booked when I get land for the next one. Like, I'm leaving on Thursday to go to Anchorage, Alaska. Why? Because
oh damn.
Because like I got my COVID shot. They got a low COVID rate, and there's a good, you know what I mean. So it's like I'm not always looking. Like, I was in Belize, I was in Costa Rica. Like I've done the tropical places we live here in Florida. But it's like what can I go see that's outside of myself? Someplace that I wouldn't normally go. Yeah, something completely left, and it's like. You know, now we have social media, we have Instagram. I reach out to people on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we got these, we got this, we got these options, we got this and that. And it's just, I think, like, to limit yourself to just staying put is true. To be honest with you, I wouldn't have gotten the COVID shot so early if they weren't going to mandate it to travel.
Yeah.
I said, yo, if I'm going to be stuck here in the United States not being able to travel, because I was going to get it anyway, but I wasn't going to be the first one.
You want to wait a little bit.
I mean, you know what I mean? Let's give it a couple months.
Let y'all go first, see what happens. Be like, yeah, I'm waiting.
Any seizures? What you got? You know what I mean? So, but when I realized that was gonna happen, I was just like, you know what? Let's go ahead and get it. But that's the concept behind Wandering Wines. It's like we travel, we sit, we talk with people. Like when you go to a vineyard and you talk with the winemaker. Like these are craftsmen. These are like people who are very, very like skilled in their craft. Mm-hmm. Like you can talk to them the same way you can talk to a defensive coordinator for a team, and he just goes into this and that, and you're like, wow, like your mind is blown. Mm-hmm. And that's how I learned. Like sitting and talking to somebody who loves their craft, and they talk for 20 minutes, and then they go, sorry, I got lost. I'm like, no. Like, that's where I learned. Maybe I didn't understand everything you said, but I learned and I absorbed some of it. And that's what you find in the wine business, too. And then meanwhile, you're being able to do it. Like, let's say you go to Napa and you're at a place like Outpost, and you go all the way up in the hills and you're overlooking the whole valley, and there's, another group of people there that you normally would never have interacted with. Mm-hmm. And you share stories and you keep in touch and all this and that. Like, that's what wine does. For me, there's people who drink spirits, and there's people who drink beer. And in the middle, there's wine. Yeah. Like, everybody's had a glass of wine. Yeah. Some people I don't touch alcohol. Some people are like, nah, I never touch beer. But everybody can sit there, have a glass of wine, and eat a meal, and go on. And so, for me, that's what it's all about. It's that human connection. It's that worldly travel. It's adventure. And then it's being able to come back and share it with people. I go and do charity events. Like we just sponsored the American Cancer Society event up here in Boca, and it was the same thing. You're sitting there, and it's like, everybody just wants to talk about where you've been and where you've gone, and then it opens them up to stories, and then they start talking about where they're going next. The same thing we're doing here. Right. What's favorite place that you travel to? Like Uganda. That's where my family's from. We're going back there. Hopefully in June, if COVID allows us to, but hands down, it's my favorite place. My mom's completing another one of her homes. We're gonna go there. We're gonna take the Smile Train. So I was fortunate enough to join the board of an organization called the Smile Train, based in California, and travel around the world. The difference is we don't just bring doctors there to fix. patients, we bring doctors to teach those doctors on the ground how to conduct these surgeries so that ongoing they continue to, whether it takes a year, 3 years, whatever it is, Smile Training brings support to teach those doctors how to fix these problems in their community, which I think is a golden idea. It's more than just like dropping in, building up this thing, taking pictures,
and
Like, no, this doctor can communicate. So right now, you know, I have my uncle, my grandma had 16 kids. So my uncle is younger than my brother. So, or they might be like 2 years apart.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah. So I always got to be confused. I'm like, he's my cousin. He's my uncle. So my uncle's there right now, and he's putting everything together and getting everything in place. And it's like, all right, so for all the stuff that I did, or everything that we just talked about, football-wise and wandering-wise and all this and that, like, if I were to go out tomorrow, or let's say like next 3 months from now, after this trip is done, I think that would probably be one of the things that I remember for the most.
That's what's up.
You know, I went back to my mom's village, and you know, first we built a well. Didn't go so well. No pun intended.
Oh man.
But then I went back and asked them, what do you want? And they said, we want a school building that's multi-use, so it could be used as a school classroom, or it can be split in half and be an amphitheater. I said, done. You know what I mean? So we built that, and it doubled the enrollment of the school. Now the school is profiting off of that, and they're building other buildings because they had this one building. I'm like, that was a much better gift than literally digging a hole and throwing money down it, because I went there and I said, you guys need a well, let me put the well here. But when I went there and I asked them, what do you, because they're there every day, what do you think that you need? Like engaging in the community, like sitting there, spending some time with them, not just going in for one meeting and telling them what you're going to do, but like go in there with the intent to just learn, shut your mouth, just learn and see what it is that they want and what they need. I think that's where I contribute the most to society.
You being the grandson of Uganda's first prime minister, and you going over there and doing what you're doing, I mean, how does that feel? And another question, like me personally, like I got the Africa bug, like I really want to go over there and all right, said it.
I'm serious.
But like, I mean, I really, especially, you know, what really, you know, motivated me was, you know, the times that we kind of living in over here. And I just really want to go over there, man, and just really just experience it. So for someone like me and other people out there that are watching this that have never been, how is it? Like, how's it feeling, man? Like,
here's the thing. First of all, the stuff that they show you on TV it's like if somebody showed you the United States and they showed you the worst part of Detroit. Is that what you think the United States is going to be like? No. So if you come with me and we land in Entebbe, we go to Kampala, like we can go into one of my uncle's houses and it's on a golf course with American-style 6-bedroom homes that you would think like, all right, like I'm in a nice part of New Jersey or something like that, like, you know what I mean? But there is the other part, which is the village, and that's where, you know, my mom's family is from, and it's the traditional. Like I can show you some pictures, like, you know, they use the red clay to make the bricks, and they have the huts and all this and that, and but those people in the village are just as happy. They have cell phones hanging from their necks. Like they're not asking for handouts or none of that. Like, like they have access to the internet and TV, so they've caught up somewhat. But they're nice people. They're genuine people. Like when they come up to you, you're gonna be welcomed. Like I think there's this stigma like, oh, Africans don't like Black Americans. No, come with me to Uganda. Like they will take you in. They will show you some of the best food you've ever had. They will show you some of the best like times you've ever had. You'll sit on the floor and you'll eat and you'll talk and they'll teach you whatever it is that you want to learn. And like that's just how at least my family is. Like you know, everybody's welcome. When I go back there and I take people with me, they're all like, wow. It's like, are they always like this? I'm like, yeah, man, this is just life. People don't always come to the village, so if you get somebody come like, you know, willing to come to the village, then you know what I mean, then you treat you like a guest, and it's like, and they expect you to come, sit down, take some time. You gotta eat. You gotta, you know, take a little piece of bread and have some tea with every. The one thing I'm gonna tell you is like it's hot, and they do this thing where it's like if you're hot, they give you hot tea to drink because it's supposed to help your body cool itself naturally.
No.
And I was like, I tried that. My mom was like, just drink it. I'm like, it's 100 degrees. Just drink it. I'm like leaking over here. And I'm like, well, just give me an ice bottle of water. I would freeze the water in the morning and put it in my bag. Like, so there are still some, you're gonna have some good times. You know what I mean? The rooster's gonna wake you up early in the morning. You know, and I joke when I went there and I was in like third grade. We went to the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were like, send the kids out to go catch a chicken. That's what you did for the afternoon. Go catch a chicken. The chicken that we gonna eat for dinner. It's out there in the back somewhere.
Damn.
Go get it.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I was just all right. So you go with the kids. You just out there. You know what I'm saying? Working on my foot speed.
Yeah, that was good word for that.
And then we would have a big celebration, and you know we would cut the goat. Usually, like if it's a big enough celebration, you cut the goat up and you sit and you just talk all the way up until the middle of the night. And they have, I don't recommend the banana beer. It's really heavy, but you know you eat, you drink, you just enjoy each other's company. And at the end of the day, you're gonna be like, I didn't even realize I didn't have a signal on my phone for 6 hours because the kids are gonna be coming up to you. They're gonna look at you and like, what's this? What's that? Let me see your tattoo. Like they don't get visitors so much, and they're very, very appreciative of people coming just to spend their time with them. Now you can go to the other side. There's also a 5-star resort downtown, and sometimes that's where I say I ain't gonna lie. Like I can be in the village for part of the time, but I'm still gonna go back down.
But at least you're getting both experiences.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that man, I really want to go. I really want to go to Africa. Man.
Even before all this and stuff that I was doing, I used to tell everybody, even if you had no connection to the land, just go. Like when you land in Uganda and you see like the red clay with the green lush vegetation, or if you go over a hill and you see the tulip fields or you see the pineapple fields, it's like you see the women and children just walking down the side of the street, something like that. It's like it's a different experience, you know. You can't get that same experience on TV when you're there and you hear how quiet it is outside on the top of a mountain. You're just like, and it's so lush, it's so great. We're landlocked. We have Lake Victoria, but we're landlocked. But over every hill, you expect there to be an ocean. It's so green, it's so lush. You expect, but there isn't. It's just land and it's just people and it's truly amazing. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
Guys, thank you for coming through, man. I appreciate you, man. Great interview. Got a lot of knowledge, man. I'm enjoying it. I appreciate you. WanderingWines.com. Make sure you guys go check that out. Support. I'm definitely gonna get me a couple bottles because I was checking out the website. It looks pretty good. Man. So thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.